Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to QBSN the podcast, episode 5. Your two favorite hosts still on desk and your favorite producer behind the desk. Shout out to our man right there. There he is, Andrew Goodness.
Goodness gracious.
All right.
What a man.
Let's start it off. Today's show, 3 segments. We're talking the 4-peat MAAC Champs women's cross country, field hockey, end to their season.
Oh.
And, of course, fan favorite breaking the ice, women's ice hockey weekend.
And it will continue to be broken.
Yes, it will. So let's start off women's cross country.
4 Pete.
I mean,
would love to be a senior on that team. Oh my goodness. Freshman year, come in, dominate. Sophomore year, dominate. Junior year, dominate. And then end off senior year, cap it off. There you go. Got enough rings. 1, 2, 3, 4. Show it up.
Yep. All right, so let's go through the rankings. Sierra Gray, first in for the Bobcats, coming in third. Rachel St. Germain, 4th. Maddie O'Neill, 7th. Zoe Merriman, 9th. And then finishing it off, Ashley Correo, 13th. Now, the difference between 3rd and 13th was only 1 minute and 7 seconds. So, who cares? It's a team effort. I mean, they got the job done.
Cross country, I mean, yes, it's cool to get that lone winner, but when you win as a team, that's ultimately who's getting the MAAC title. You're getting the one. You're getting not the individual, but your team overall. And especially with cross country, you're running together throughout training and practicing throughout the entire season. So even if you're one of the people who may be at the back of the pack, you're still helping to win that team, push your teammates, and then push those teammates who are at the back to continue that winning culture and possibly go for a 5-peat. So I think that having that consistency is great, especially with the cross-country program. And I don't know, I think that's something that not a lot of schools can say, hey, our cross-country team, you can promote that now.
Right.
As Quinnipiac, you can be like, hey, we have this excellent cross-country team here. Come run for us. Right. You know what I mean?
I think the big thing is, to your point, consistency and the fact that they don't have somebody in 1st, 9th, and then 20th.
Mm-hmm.
They're all, top 15.
Yep.
So that's really great to see. Now they'll finish off their year, the 2025 NCAA Northeast Regional Race. That'll be next Friday, November 14th. So best luck to them. Hope they go get it done. And, yeah, I guess we'll have more updates as we go. But now let's talk about what field hockey had an interesting year.
Yes.
They got off to a hot start. They were the big talking point around student media for sure. But then they got into Big East play, went 0-3 to start it off, kind of had a big drop-off in the middle of the year. Then they started building back that confidence. And then towards the end of the season, they beat Villanova,
who
got the 4th place in the Big East tournament. Now, Quinnipiac entered the Big East in 2016, 9 years ago, and they have never made a Big East tournament.
Mm-hmm.
So Quinnipiac beats Villanova, sets himself up very well for a serious chance to make the Big East tournament. Then they lose to the worst team in the Big East in Georgetown. And at that point, everyone's like, oh, my God, there it goes again. But then we get to UConn. UConn 5-1 in the Big East, second behind Liberty. And they needed to beat UConn.
Yeah.
And they needed Villanova to lose to Liberty.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Liberty's 6th or maybe 7th in the nation. So you got the Liberty-Villanova game, which was pretty much a given for Liberty. They won 5-0. And I called the UConn Quinnipiac game, and we were covering the Liberty one, and we knew throughout that game that Liberty kind of started to run away with it.
Mm-hmm.
First half, 2-1, Quinnipiac leads. We're all kind of like, this is
Yep.
They got a serious chance. Third quarter,
Nothing.
I mean, Quinnipiac pretty much handled the ball, but no scoring. So
Yep.
you're going into the last quarter. You're up 2-1. Now you just got to hang on and finish out the game. UConn, historically against Quinnipiac, is 23-0. Undefeated going into that game against Quinnipiac.
Yep.
Quinnipiac goes into the fourth quarter with a 2-1 lead. And it ends 4-2.
Yep.
UConn wins.
Yeah.
So,
Boom, boom,
you know, you
boom.
look at that and you're like, what the heck happened? And the thing I'll say is I think this field hockey team's only going to get better. I hope they come
100%.
back. That, you know, now Francisca Escoyas has another year under her belt.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, you know, what led to that is for Quinnipiac this year to beat UConn, they needed their best players at their best that whole game.
Mm-hmm.
And they really, you know, Nina Klein, who is a 3-time national champion with UConn
Yeah.
as a goalkeeper, she didn't sub as much because, to her point, they needed their best in there to contend.
Yeah.
And I think they just ran out of steam. And you could kind of see UConn, that veteran presence, even when they were down, they weren't forcing anything. They were just playing their game. And, you know, they went on like a 5-corner streak and just kept putting them in. So it's tough, but I think it's a good learning curve. And, you know, it was a heartbreaker.
Yeah.
But that's okay.
I think there's a lot of things to be proud of for the Quinnipiac Bobcats in terms of field hockey, though. I think that first 10-win season since 2013, you know, that's huge. And building off of that is something that I'm sure they're looking to do next year.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it was definitely a progression year because they hadn't been that good in any aspect of the game in a very long time.
Yep.
So that was definitely good for them. And, you know, I'm excited for next year. Really excited for next year and see what they can bring. But here we go. It's that time. Breaking the ice.
Let's break it.
Women's hockey, their weekend, they had Union on Friday and RPI Saturday. Let's start with Union. It was a 6-1 victory. Tessa Hulk hat trick.
I want to go back to what the question you've asked in the prior two episodes. Do we think they're going to have a hard time with ECAC play? I don't think so after this anymore. I don't know. Yes, it's Union and RPI, but, I mean, you beat Yale. Brown is a tough team, you know, but then the Bobcats come out 6-1 to Union and 8-0 against RPI. You know, I can't speak to the other teams that the Bobcats might be facing soon. But I don't know. Is Clarkson that good? You know, is St. Lawrence that good? Is Princeton that good? I can't imagine them being much better than a Yale or a Brown.
Yeah, I guess, let's talk about it right now. It is a big ECAC weekend coming up for them. With St. Lawrence and Clarkson, you know, those are two teams that, you know, they're not best of the best, but they're consistent. They're good teams, and, you know, they're not throwaway or cupcake games for the Bobcats at all. But I think they're in a really good spot because if they can come out of St. Lawrence and Clarkson going 2-0 again, they have a 12-day break, and then they go into their doubleheader against Princeton.
Yeah.
So you get, you know, if they can go 2-0 again, now they're set up really nice at, what would they be? 13-1. 13-1.
Which is, yeah.
And
then, I mean, that's just good.
And then you get a 12-day break, you kind of get a reset, and then Princeton. So, you know, they're in a really good spot. Just like the men's team with their break coming at the right time, I think it's the same thing for the Bobcats. And, you know, really hoping to see them, as much as we love Felicia Frank, really hoping to see them, you know, get Callie Hogarth involved. So further down the line, we're talking playoffs, NCAA stuff.
Correct.
You have 2 serious options you can pick from.
Correct.
But back to Union, Tessa Hulk hat trick, LaMarche added 2, and then Jarvis added 1. You're starting to see the scoring spread around.
It's going. I mean, obviously, LaMarche is still a scoring machine, but Hulk has been becoming another scoring machine for this Quinnipiac Bobcats team as of late, netting that hat trick against Union, and also last week having a couple multi-goal games. So I think that this team has scorers, and we're still missing 2 other players who contribute to that.
To their best.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, the depth is only continuing, and you have people who can score on the back end too for the Quinnipiac Bobcats team, in terms of Ewens and so it's. Yeah. I don't see productivity being a not to say like being a problem, but injuries, like we've said, will present that problem if, that will impact productivity. So,
yeah. RPI 8-0 win. Ewens, Jarvis, and Johnson. Ewens and Johnson getting in on the scoring in the first period. That was big. And then in the second, 2 goals from LaMarche, 1 from Hulk. That one from Hulk, what an assist by Ewens on the power play. Oh, my God, that was beautiful. And then third period, Ewens gets her second goal, and LaMarche adds her third hat trick of the season. And Frank's third shutout of the season.
Yep.
So, they are really moving. I just think that, and especially with Law, Barbariti still not playing, when they come back, it's only going to add another level of, stuff the other team has to worry about.
Yeah.
And with that, the game in the second period started getting chippy. RPI started going after LaMarche, pushing her after the play, holding her down the ice, stuff like that. And Bobcats responded. I know LaMarche responded. She wasn't having it at all.
Yeah.
And
2 power play goals.
Yeah.
That'll get you to stop real quick.
Exactly. But I think it's just going to be a story of will they have enough by the end of the year? I don't. We'll see.
Mm-hmm.
We can't speak to if they're going to struggle or how they're going to do in the rest of ECAC.
Yep.
But down the line, at the end of the season, when it really matters, can they manage the rest of their year? And then when it comes to crunch time, will they have enough in the tank? And I think the biggest piece of that, you're going to eventually get Law and Barbariti.
Mm-hmm.
I know Law with the arm injury, Barbariti concussion.
Yep.
But those are injuries they'll definitely be able to come back from this year. And then I think the big question is Frank and Hogarth.
Yeah.
Can they get Hogarth involved? And that's something I want to talk about is when you have a 6-0 lead, why not give her a chance? I don't want you don't want to wait till Frank has a bad game and pull her.
Right.
Just why wouldn't you give Hogarth a shot?
I think for me, looking at the scoring summary, it's a tough call as a coach, because that the Kayla LaMarche's second goal, the 6th of the game, came at 17:30 in the second. So that's later into the second. So I can understand why, as a coach, they're keeping her in at a 6-0 game. But once maybe that 7th goal goes in the third at 3:19, maybe as a coach I'm like, all right, maybe let's give Hogarth a little bit of time, take off because Frank's not going to see a ton of shots the rest of the game,
and especially at the pace the Bobcats were scoring.
Correct. And I think too, if anything, I think that should have just been Hogarth's game to begin with. Do I think that? I mean, I can't say in terms of looking. Well, I mean, we can look at the team stats here. Shots on goal. 19 to 58, right? The Bobcats had 58 shots on goal.
Right.
So, I mean, you look at it, and that's still, like, for the goalie, I mean, yeah, it's not, for RPI's goalie, it's not great, but, I mean, 58 shots, 8 goals, I mean, you're still 50 shots you saved. You know, it's an 8.62 save percentage, and I'm sure did they switch? So still, you know what I mean? And that's 2 back-to-back games where Quinnipiac has forced the team to switch their goalie. You know, so for my as someone who's played goalie for a long time, it is hard for me to understand why they've continued to play Frank in many consecutive games, just because even if you look at the NHL, you know, you don't have a goalie who's going on these long runs for, you know, they're not going to play 13 games straight. They'll go 9 games, break, and then go another 9. Like, give him, especially too when you get to a higher level, just taking one game where you're on the bench will give you that reset, because it's like, okay, I can relax for one game. All right, now I'm ready to go again. And I'm confused as to why they're not giving Frank this opportunity. And it's kind of what Rossi said last time is how he watched. They ran one of the older goalies into the ground, and then when it came time for playoffs, you know, for lack of a better phrase, crapped the bed. You know what I mean? So,
do you think there's a possibility that it's a Felicia Frank decision, and she's saying, you know, and they're offering her a break, and she's saying, I don't want it?
That could 100% be a possibility. I think being eager to play as a goaltender is something that every goaltender deals with. You want to play, you know, because as a goalie, there's only one goalie on the ice. You know, if you're the other goalies, you're sitting on the bench the entire game. You're opening the doors for the team. Yeah, you're on the bench. You get that atmosphere. I mean, you're still a part of the team. Don't get me wrong. I loved the games where I was on the bench because you still get to cheer. You get to keep, especially if you have a C too, like you know, if you have a C or an A, you're kind of a leadership role, especially as a goalie. That's cool. And you can be on the bench and you can tell your team, like, hey, keep your head in the game. Let's not take stupid penalties, like, because you know, as a goalie, these penalties, you know, you become that fifth person on the ice. When your team takes a penalty, you hold a greater role. And so I think that could be a possibility, that she's eager to continue playing. And it doesn't look like it's affecting her too much right now. But I wonder, you know, it starts to take a toll on your body, especially playing at the level that she's playing at. So I really can't say right now. It could be a coach's decision. It could also be, yeah, I'm good to go. It's like, are you good? Are you good to go? Yeah, I'm good to go. Let's go. So there's a lot of different things.
Yeah, I still think, you know, even if that's a possibility, and it definitely is.
100%.
I would still think inside that organization, inside that coach's room, there's got to be talk about, you know, down the line, you know, looking to the playoffs, and we need 2 options.
One thing that does happen, though, too, from coaching standpoint is you're so focused on your players, and you kind of become used to having this one goalie in net, and you're just like, write them down at the beginning of every game, and you kind of forget, like, oh, I have another goalie, because you're so focused on your players and those plays, and sometimes the goalie kind of gets lost in that equation, and so you just keep going, and you kind of forget, and it's like, you're doing good, let's just keep you in net. Whereas it's like, we have this other good goalie as well, and the coach will forget about that. And that's where it becomes to the player, the goalie as a player, like, hey, coach, when am I going to be able to get into a game? Because I know if I'm Hogarth right now, I'm sitting here, and I'm like, all right, well, I'm a good goalie. I'm coming in and day out. When's my shot? When am I going to get to prove myself? Unless the role has been stated to her that, hey, you're I mean, clearly, obviously, in the backup role right now. But unless it's been stated clearly, like, hey, you're not going to see a lot of time. You know? And I find that hard to believe that they would blatantly say that. But then again, I'm not in the locker room. I don't know the situation. But I think that if I were in the shoes, it's like, hey, when am I going to get – is there a possibility of me getting a game? What's it going to look like for me to get a game? How can I get a game? What's the situation? You know, I'm constantly saying that to try and see, especially if I'm coming in and day out and proving myself that I want to play and I want to be there. You know what I mean? So that's why that's, again, why I'm having a hard time understanding the fact that Hogarth hasn't gotten a start yet.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm on the same page. I don't understand it either, but you know, I'm sure sooner rather than later they're going to get her in there, even if it's just a third period or you know, to finish out a game, because I can't imagine they would wait until Felicia Frank, God forbid, she gets hurt or she has a, you know, stinker of a game, and then they're like, all right, Callie, time to go. Yeah, that's when I'm like, you can't do that, because now that puts that adds
more pressure,
salt to the wound for Felicia Frank.
100%
when she gets pulled out for not living up to what she's done all year. So, yeah, I guess we'll just have to wait and see, but really, I think it's something important to look at. But another great break in the ice, big game tonight. Go watch
largest
men's hockey versus Alaska. That's big. Big game, great environment. Can't wait. And yeah, thank you everybody for tuning in from McGugan and Hill, and goodness gracious behind us.
Whew.
There he is.
Also,
I'm just gonna hit you with the salute every time.
Thank you, everybody. See ya.
Peace.